So the real question is, are we vain or just culture icons? Many argue that selfies are for the memories, but have you ever felt that pain of an empty camera roll because you were having too much fun and just forgot to take pictures? Instagram and TikTok has become our generation's live documentary, capturing every moment, whether sad, angry, scary, or even boring. It's all there, and satisfying the social pressures of our time has actually become incredibly difficult. Hi guys, this is Bree, your host. Welcome to You're Not Doing It Wrong, where we talk about the many troubling topics of today's millennials and discuss how to navigate your next quarter-life crisis, because we're all too busy thinking about what we should be doing and not what we want to do.
And I'm your co-host, Allie. Welcome back to Season 2. A study in psychological science suggests that having a Pics or it didn't happen approach to every event you attend could actually distract you from being in the present moment, not to mention impair your memories of what happened.
We want to talk this episode a little bit about this idea that every moment needs to be captured. I think overall, this is a reoccurring theme across many generations now, even people older than us, which would be what are our moms considered, boomers?
No, I don't know. Gen X? I think it's Gen X.
Maybe, yeah. So Gen X, even Gen X is on TikTok. No.
Okay. Facebook, yeah.
Yeah, so everyone's capturing every moment. And if anyone, for me, for example, I have the mom that captures every moment. She's the one with the camera out 25/8, no matter where we are. We could be literally walking down a sidewalk and she's got the camera out. She's on Snapchat. She's posting every second of every minute of her life. And we like to make fun of her. We say she's an influencer, and we even joke around that she swears, if she just had a little bit more training, if we sent her me and my brother and my sister was actually talking about this, and we're like, if you could just send her to an institute where they just taught her how to use a social media,
Instagram Academy or something.
Yeah, an Instagram Academy, she would be so famous, because she just says the most diabolical shit sometimes, and that people would find it so funny. This is this kind of stuff that needs to live online.
Yeah, and I just wanted to touch on, even when I first met you, I know that I've talked about how Max is literally staring me down. I work in social media and stuff, but I think before, when we first met in college, social media was barely becoming a thing. Instagram was barely taking off, and we used it, but not in the way that we do now to market ourselves and our businesses. But Brie would take pictures of everything, and I was not that type of person. It would even annoy me when she was like, "Oh, we have to take a picture before we eat our food," and I'm my food's scarfed down, half my plate gone.
Yeah, I had a really bad habit, I think, when we used to sit down to eat at a restaurant that I've never been to. It usually always was somewhere I hadn't been, or I felt it was a little bit fancier than most places. I feel like I needed to take a picture to post. And I'm a big foodie, so love food. And I think most of it too was just to kind of remember the moment, kind of I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah
as a somebody who didn't go out to eat that much growing up, and I feel most people during that my 20s or whatever, I was always I gotta capture this moment because I don't know if I'll be back here again, or I don't know, it just felt like the right thing. But also it was part of my upbringing. Like I said, my mom growing up was the type of parent that literally always recorded and always took pictures of us. As soon as Facebook existed, and as soon as she was on Facebook, that's all she ever did is take pictures of us. It almost became so annoying that we would get angry with her because of it. Now we even get upset sometimes because it's just why are you recording this? We're just in the car. You don't need to record this.
She records everything. I just wanted to say, if you're watching the video, because I finally started posting the videos on YouTube, I'm wearing a witch's hat. This is our Halloween episode, even though Halloween passed by the time you're hearing this. But we just took pictures to post for our Halloween outfits. We were Dewey and Gail Weathers for Halloween as our little pictures, and we just got dressed up and took the pictures outside in the yard. And I was I could wear this to record the episode so that we get some use out of it, but I'm not gonna, because it was really uncomfortable outfit for me. So even something like that, I remember we got back from our trip from Hawaii that we took in August, and the first thing Brie said was, we didn't take enough pictures. And I'm dude, yes we did. And I try now to think I gotta take pictures and I gotta take videos, and my thought on that is to remember it. But then also I get so caught up in just enjoying the moment and like living for the moment. And one thing I noticed in Hawaii is I would try and take pictures of beautiful sunsets or the sea turtles that were out on the beach or different things, and it just wouldn't translate to a phone camera the same way it does to your eyes.
Isn't that so crazy though?
Yeah.
I hate that experience of like looking at something and in your eyes it's like, wow, this looks so amazing, it looks so good.
Yeah.
And then you like take a picture and you're like, this doesn't even look like what I'm seeing. This is so off balance.
Yeah. And I think,
and how am I supposed to prove it's this beautiful?
But that's the thing is like when you're using a phone camera, it's like it can only pick up so much, you know, it can only translate so much versus when you're using an actual camera. And so sometimes I just don't even bother trying to take a picture because I know it's not going to be the same way that I remember it in my mind. Sometimes I'm like, it's just for my memory.
Yeah. And then I think the difference too is that every single one of us our experience with it is different, right? But for example, like I like to take a lot of pictures of myself in these places. I like to take, I think it's called like third person.
It's called selfies.
Selfies, I know, but you know, there's two different views, right? There's like a first person view of you like taking pictures of food and like objects and like places where you're not in the photos. So it's a first person view for people to see and like kind of feel like they're there as well. Versus like when you take pictures of yourself in these places, it's third person. I was going to say, like, we found this study that talked a little bit about the differences between that. And the study was really interesting that we found because it was talking a little bit about the differences between first and third person, why people do those different ways, right? And I think one of the ways that people use photos is really to just like show off their life, right? To be like, look at all the cool things I'm doing, versus the other one, which is the third person, is here I am with all the people that I'm with. This is like a way that I want to remember the experience. It was interesting because I've never looked at it that way. I feel like I always looked at it the opposite way. Like people who are in the photos are actually just trying to show off that they were there. Versus like first person to me is more so I don't really care about me being here. It's more about me sharing the experience. But I don't know. Yeah. It's like weird because both can be seen very vague.
I was going to say, according to our notes that we wrote for this episode, it says that the study that you were talking about says that people who use first person photography, so it's like a picture of the scene from their eyes, they want to document that physical experience, versus third person photography like selfies of you and your friends are to capture the deeper meaning of an event. I don't know though, because like I kind of agree with it because I take pictures of a lot of things, like if I'm driving and I want to like capture a view, or like the example always is Hawaii, because I'm like, there were so many beautiful things that we saw, and I like would I always forget to put myself in the picture. Like I don't automatically open the front facing camera. I open my back camera and I take a video from the back camera versus the front camera. Like even when we were on bikes in Hawaii, we rented bikes and I was like, oh, I need to remember to take a selfie version, but only because you were riding behind me.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I want to like remember this. Versus normally when I opened up my camera, I was just taking a video of like us riding past the ocean. And I thought like, that's beautiful. I really want to have that in my camera roll.
I don't know, like, because for me, it's so weird because I'm always the opposite. Like I always feel like I need to be in the photos. Because like, it's one thing to, I guess, okay, so for example, I feel like when I think about it and being in the photos, I think like it's nice to be able to show where you've been.
But I'm like, if you have the photo, isn't that enough proof?
I don't think it is, because I think about like, okay, hold on, wait, listen to what I gotta say first. I know you're like, no, I wouldn't like thinking about like my kids, my grandkids, like future generations ever looking back and being like, look at what my grandma did so long ago, and like look at her, she's so pretty. Hilarious. And she's like, you know, like it's like a moment in time, it's like a historic, it's like when you think about history in general, right? Like people aren't always showing pictures of just landscapes. The landscapes are going to stay there. That's not going to change, right? Hopefully. Sometimes that's not the case, but you know, like most of these places that you go to that are like so famous, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, for example, it's one thing to say that it's there. It's another thing to say that like I've been there.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, I think that the thing that shifted that for me was like TikToks. When I started making TikToks, I like wanted to be in the videos because I wanted to, like, I think a lot of TikTok is, or content that does well on TikTok has your face or your voice in it, versus just a video of like me riding my bike in Hawaii and nobody can see me. And I learned that the reason behind that is because people love to put like a face to the name, and like when it comes to branding and marketing and all that stuff, they want to see a person versus just a thing. to me, it's always been different though. Like if you open up my camera roll right now, if you open up my phone, you would see like all of these pictures and videos of things. I hardly have anything of myself. I don't even take selfies. Like if I take a selfie, it's because I feel like I'm cute. Like I remember the first time taking a selfie in like high school. I was working at this daycare after school and I was so awkward about it. And then I used that selfie for 1,000 years.
Yeah, I've always thought about that because I'm like, I like to take selfies when I'm feeling good, but I grew up taking selfies a lot. Like, if you looked at I said don't go look at my Instagram, but
go look at her Instagram. It's linked in the show notes.
Facebook, like, I have tons of photos of myself anywhere and everywhere. And so then I wondered to myself, like, am I vain or is this just something I like? And that's the other thing, like, nurture versus nature, though. Like, am I vain because this is what I was taught, or am I actually vain? Like,
yeah. I was thinking of that. You're so vain.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Get in the frame, first of all. And second of all, it's
okay. The couch is making me uncomfortable, low key.
The song, it's from 10 Things I Hate About
this whole thing.
What's that movie with Kate Hudson and
no longer 20 years old?
Matthew McConaughey.
No idea what you're talking about. I don't watch Matthew McConaughey movies. Allie's like a 2000s movie
early
person.
2000s.
Like, I never watched any of those movies.
I wanted to start a podcast about like reviewing movies and books, and I was going to start with like all my early 2000s favorites, movies, TV shows. I don't know why I said books, and I haven't done that yet. So if you see that pop up,
good luck with
support
that.
us.
I sound like I don't know anything about 2000s culture. I said I was living under
I Hate About You. That's the other one. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Got it.
I only watched the ending of that the other day when you were watching.
Oh my god. Okay,
I never seen the whole movie.
Back to the show.
So anyways, our whole point being that it's a different atmosphere now, because like I remember growing up, right, socials were very different. Like, yeah, you still uploaded pictures of yourself, but that wasn't like the main reason you used social media, right? Like, it was back, I said I'm about to age myself, but throwing it back all the way to like MySpace, like MySpace was used for like community and talking to each other, and it was never really about where you've been or telling your story or any of that. It was community building. And then we got Instagram and Facebook, and then the photos and videos seemed to like skyrocket, right? And Instagram, fun fact, is actually the third most used social media in the US, according to a study we found.
That's according to USA Today. I was going to touch on that though. Like even going further back, like Tumblr back in the day, when you would see kind of like Pinterest-esque images of...
Yeah, but you were like reposting other people. Like a lot of it wasn't like
yourself. That's what I was going to say. You weren't posting yourself. You were like...
Unless you were like a Tumblr influencer. Like, those did exist. Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not have Tumblr or
if you go on TikTok, you could like literally see people that were like, oh, look at the Tumblr photos I used to upload to go viral. And I'm like, that's crazy.
That's so
I don't think I ever posted anything that was my own on
I
Tumblr.
never had Tumblr, and I didn't have MySpace. My first social was
Tumblr.
Facebook.
Tumblr was fun. It was like a Twitter before, kind of, but different somehow. I don't know. But yeah, so like social media has changed so much, right? Like you were talking about TikTok, and I think TikTok has really changed things too, because for two different reasons. Like I think Facebook and Instagram really, there's like a different atmosphere there where you feel like a lot of the stuff needs to be about you, what's going on and all that good stuff. But I think TikTok has changed, and I don't know if it's because of the generations that are on social media, right? Like when you think about Facebook, it's a lot more like older generations talking about themselves, their families, and then Instagram, I feel like people mostly just post about themselves. They don't post about like family stuff or like community stuff. It's really used to like showcase your life at a glance, like your lifestyle. And then like when you think about TikTok, I feel like TikTok now is like, at least for my For You page, right, is a lot of younger people talking about their struggles, themselves, and then doing challenges, right? Because like that's like the whole purpose of TikTok when it first started. It was like doing dance challenges. It was doing like, I don't know. And I just feel like that has changed it, because it's not about you anymore. It's also about building community. So it's like wrapping back around to like the MySpace, but still like you're in the videos.
In a different way though.
Yeah, in a different way, because you're still showcasing, like you're still in the videos, like you said.
Yeah.
But it's not about, I don't know, it's not about it's not a popularity contest almost. I mean, this is the way I feel about TikTok. I think other people might feel differently, but it's not a popularity contest. You're not trying to show perfectionism on TikTok, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about showing, like, look at me, I'm so pretty. Look at me, like, I'm perfect. My life is perfect. And if that's what you're doing on TikTok, you're doing it wrong. Sorry. I know this is called You're Not Doing It Wrong, but no, you're doing it wrong. I just think, like, TikTok actually, at least the community I've built on TikTok, it's really about like
What
showcasing
community, girl? It's your sister and my mom.
page, like the people that like pop up on my page, the people that I follow. Like I think about influencers on TikTok and the influencers that I watch. Like two of the ones I'm thinking of right now, just off the bat, off the top of my mind, is like Chris Olsen, right? If anybody's part of the like, what is it called, like OG Chris Club fan base now, Charlie doesn't know, but
the one
she's
with
not
the
a Chris
coffee guy.
Yes, well, he
Okay,
used to be
yeah,
the coffee guy.
yeah.
He's not really the coffee guy anymore.
No, yeah.
So like he got famous off of his relationship, right, where he was dating this other influencer on TikTok. They broke up. And then ever since then, all he talks about is like his struggles. He talks about like being gay. He talks about his struggles with alcoholism. He talks a lot about his struggle, like now being like part of the entertainment industry, and he's not scared to like cry on, you know, social media. Like he did a whole series of like these videos of my therapist and me, like things like that like I feel like are more popular with influencers now. Even another follower that I have, I can't remember, or somebody else I follow, it's a guy who does like the home videos. The next episode of Fuck This House.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
You showed him to me once, yeah.
And like his
We are
community
on
is
very different sides of TikTok.
Just shows it goes to show like we're different people.
Yeah.
But no, like that also is like very struggle based, right? You're talking about like the homeowner struggles, and that's built him a whole community. Now he goes on tour to do what is it called?
Comedy
shows. So it's like that's so interesting to me in the perspective of like how social media is changing.
I'm collecting my thoughts.
I said, keep up, girl. I'm on an 80.
That was a lot, yeah. No, I agree. I think there's a lot of levels to that, like the type of people that I follow and the community that I feel like I've built. Anyways, when I first got on TikTok, I used to live on the following page. Like I would watch my videos on there instead of the For You page because I didn't like the way that my For You page was like showing me videos. Now it's the opposite. And it just gets me thinking about like old school influencers. Because I was so when I think of social media from back in the day, like back when we were younger, I always think of YouTube because
I knew you were gonna say that. I hate YouTube people. Like,
right, okay, so I have a point. Like I was a big YouTube girl. Like I followed all of the original like beauty gurus and like those lifestyle YouTube people, and I think that they got on there to showcase like different things. Like it started out with just makeup tutorials and like I want to show other people how to do this, or like hair tutorials, and then it turned into this like whole thing. And I think of somebody like, her name was Bethany Moda, or is Bethany Moda. She got so famous. It was like a Charlie D'Amelio, but from YouTube. Like she was on Dancing with the Stars way back when. She was partnered with Derek Cup. And that's wild to me because I was like, oh, it's like this normal girl that just makes videos in her bedroom that became this whole, she had like a clothing line with, I think, Target. Like she just blew up. And it's crazy because I feel like there are some influencers on TikTok that form this community where they have like really solid followers. And then I see a lot of TikTokers talk about how it's not the same as it was back in the day. People just don't really like put a face to the name anymore as much because it's short form content. So the community isn't there. Like, yes, you find other people that are going through the same struggles and you feel less alone because you're watching these videos, but you don't have a strong sense of like who's posting these videos, you know?
Right, like loyalty. You're not necessarily seeing that.
There you go. Yeah, that's the word.
But I think that's more beautiful because we're not just pushing one person to do all. You know what I'm saying? Like I think back in the day it was like, oh yeah, let's become an influencer and have all this money. It's like we're moving into, in my perspective, we're moving away from that. We're stopping making all these like select people famous and making money off of just generic shit versus like, no, we want multiple people to have platforms, and those people don't have to be perfect. Because I think that was like another thing when you think of all those YouTuber people, like people who've done YouTube and other, you know, influencer type things, they'll come out and say like there's so much pressure to be perfect. There's so much pressure to be like this person, you know, that and people want to see. Like people don't want to hear your sad stories. People don't want to hear your struggles. And I think we're moving away from that. I truly do, because when I look back now, and maybe this is me just aging, right? And like the people that I'm following.
The lobes developed, y'all.
But no, because then I think about people that are like younger than me that like cry on social media, and I'm just kind of like, I used to think that was weird. Like I would be like, what the fuck are you crying
still
on
weird
social
to me,
media?
yeah.
But in the long run, I'm like, why are we also isolating those people? We talk about how we want to do suicide prevention. We talk about how we want people to feel like safe in these spaces, but then like we judge those people that are choosing to try and create a safe space for themselves. I think it's a good thing. I mean, there's limits, I think, to some of this stuff, but I don't know. I think when we think about this, like Pixar didn't happen, right? We're moving away from it being like a vain culture and moving towards like, no, we're just documenting our life and our struggles more so than we are trying to be this perfect person.
Yeah, and I think for me, that's what it's been about. I realized today, this is a perfect conversation for today, because today I randomly decided to look through my TikTok videos, and I went all the way back from when I first started posting, and I was like, wow, I thought I hadn't posted like at all. I was like, I don't really post on TikTok. I'm not like a TikTok person. Like, I'll post a trend here and there or whatever.
Yeah.
I post a lot. And it's crazy because I looked, it was like all the way back to when we took our New York trip, which happened, I don't even know, 2021.
That would have been during COVID. We went at least in 2022, I think. May.
You're right. I think it was in 2022. Yeah, you're right. 2022, whatever. And that was like on there. And so seeing it in this realm of like documentation over trying to get likes and followers. And I think for a while I was stuck in like, oh, I would love all of these followers and to make money off of this. And that would be great. But now I'm just kind of like, I just post it for fun because it makes me feel good. And it's nice to be able to go back and say like, last year we were doing this, or this past February we were in Boston. That feels like 30,000 years ago.
Right. That's another thing that I feel like at first with TikTok, I was like so embarrassed to even try it because I was like, I can't do that. I can't do dances. I can't do this and that. And then I realized like, I don't have to do that stuff. Like there's so much more that you can do on TikTok, so many different trends and things to interact with. And now it's the crazy part, right? Like I still think about it like any other person. I think, you know, I'm not, what's it called, immune to this idea of like the likes and like wanting people.
Yeah.
The same thing as like the podcast, right? Like we're not immune to nothing. To the fact that we have listeners. Or
that was another point. Like even us just doing this podcast, is who are we to say that we have something good to say for you to listen to?
Yeah.
Like and I think that's the beauty. We don't know what we're doing, which is why it's called You're Not Doing It Wrong. Like I think that's the beauty of
just trying
social media in some aspects, is that you can create kind of this world and this life for yourself that you would have never had otherwise. Way back when we were in high school, this would have never been a thing. Picking up mics and a computer and creating a podcast out of nothing, like that wasn't a thing.
I think the world in general was just very judgmental. I mean, granted, I feel like we still live in a very judgmental world, but more and more I find myself just like not giving a fuck. Like, and again, I don't know if this is part of the reason, like maybe I feel this way because I'm getting older and we just don't care.
I mean, I saw this video about a girl. I think I sent it to you a while ago. It was like back in high school, I used to spend hours covering up my pimples, and now Gen Z just slaps
a star face or a fucking pimple patch,
patch, and walks out the door, and I'm like,
and they think it's so cool.
And that to me shows like how social media has changed everybody, because I'm like, but you see that on social media,
like embrace your body, right? Like don't body shame, don't do this and that. Like we're in a cancel culture, right? Like I feel like now we're moving towards like canceling people who are body shaming or just shaming in general over anything. The pics are raw and they're real. Like what is that fucking app that the kids use nowadays? It's the like just be real, or let's be real. Be real. Okay. Like what is that? Right? Like when it first came out, I was like, what is this? I never downloaded it. I don't know if it ever took off really, but
you want to know something else is that I was thinking about that too, like how I don't have a lot of the social medias anymore. I have only stuck to,
we're sounding so old.
I know we sound old, but I've only stuck to like 3 main ones. Like I have Facebook. I don't really use it except to keep up with other people.
Fuck Mark Zuckerberg, but you know, whatever.
I have Instagram, and I do use Instagram, and then TikTok. I hardly use Snapchat. I never got Threads. I don't have Be Real.
Yeah, I've been thinking about downloading Threads because I'm still on X, but I really don't get on.
Oh, I don't use.
You have to download an app. You do.
Cut that out. This is so embarrassing.
I said social media manager. Hello. But
those things are not what you would use to market, though, or like I wouldn't really use it to market. I don't know.
I think Facebook and Instagram is like the really big marketing apps now, because Meta is just incorporating AI, it's incorporating ads, it's paid ads, so all of those things, which also changes how I think we've interacted with those socials.
But I was gonna say on that topic of the photos are like raw and real. When Instagram first came out, we would slap filters on everything.
Oh and
my
gosh, yes.
Crazy filters. Like
so gross.
The saturation all the way up, the like vintage.
We swore we knew how to filter things and
it was horrible. And I look back at those posts now. One of them is like coming to mind. I like posted a homecoming picture, I remember, and like I remember editing the shit out of it and thinking that it was so, I'll post it on the Instagram.
Oh my god.
And thinking I was the shit. Like I was like, oh my god, it's so good. No, girl. And now it's funny because these kids, they'd be posting with their pimple patches. They'd be posting like
they don't care.
Monthly dumps, and it's just like random pictures.
It's blurry shit.
Yeah, that I'm like
of blurriness.
but they do it to like keep it a documentation for them and like look back and be like, oh, that was funny, like
a documentary now. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing too, because it's crazy. I think a couple years ago, right, on Instagram, it really took off that people had these what are they called? The ones that like you had your Instagram and then you had your Finsta. That's what it was called.
Oh, a Finsta.
Like a fake. Is it a fake Insta? What
fake
is that
Insta? Finsta.
Yeah? Okay. And then like your Finsta was only like meant for like your close friends, right? Remember that?
Yeah. I never had a Finsta.
I feel like those are just merging together.
I never had one either. No Finstas. It's all the same.
Like my younger cousin, Jalissa, and then like
don't out her.
Monica, like they all had them. Jose even, I think, and he's only like 3 years younger than me, my brother.
Well, didn't the from college have one?
I don't remember. Yeah, maybe.
The roommate.
But it's like, I never had one of those, but people use that to be real, right? To like post the rawness.
Maybe that's how Be Real came about.
Like document like the shit you wouldn't want to like publicize, right? Because
they would set them to private and stuff. Yeah.
Growing up, like we're told, or at least I hope they're still being told that, but like that everything's permanent, it's online, that everybody can see that stuff. And especially if you have a public profile, right? You want to keep like a clean image of yourself.
Yeah. So we used to be told, I don't think that the internet talk is there anymore. And that makes me sound so old, but we used to be lectured all the time about like whatever you post online never goes away, the dangers of the internet and all that stuff. And I don't feel like they're talking to kids about that nowadays, because I think even back to like your cousin and stuff, having a phone like so young and knowing how to work TikTok at like 10 years old, or when I was a teacher, I taught third graders and they knew TikTok more than me. And I was like, first of all, why do you have a phone? That's crazy. Second of all, why do you have a TikTok account? That's even crazier. I don't know.
But it goes kind of like, it intertwines now with this idea of like free speech and like not being held accountable for some of this stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because like there was a lot of talk, I think, in the beginning of TikTok.
I know where I was going with that. Is that when I think I've said it on the podcast before. Like when I first met Brie, she used to tweet back when X was still Twitter. I stopped using Twitter when Elon Musk bought it and made it X, because I just feel like that branding doesn't make sense. Sorry, don't come for me, Elon Musk. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate him.
First of all, the branding is not there. And
everybody
it
left
bothers
X.
me. Okay. But Brie used to put her whole life and then some on Twitter. She would literally be like walking to the bathroom, just drop my coffee, crying in class.
Okay, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like I'm taking a fucking shit. No, like it was literally just like something crazy would happen. Mostly, and I used to say this jokingly, is like these are like my intrusive thoughts just being posted online. Like I'd be like sitting next to a cute girl, hope she doesn't find out. Like I think I used to tweet about stupid shit like that, right? Well, oh, I found this like new person that's like super hot in my class, and like hope that they never see this tweet. Like it was shit like that that I would post.
Anyways, and now the funny thing is, like I've realized that I've started to use TikTok almost in that way. Like I don't TikTok all the time, but I do post things that are like more personal, whereas like I don't feel like I can do that on Instagram. And and then I'm like, well, my mom's on here and Bree's aunt is on here, and I'm finna block everyone or make a fake TikTok, a Finsta, but for TikTok, a fake.
Yeah, I think about that sometimes, because there's like trends that I want to participate in, and then I'm like, can't post this, my mama's gonna see.
Yeah, and then like, what do people just make another profile, or do people just not care because it's like their virtual diary?
I really just don't think people care anymore, and I think it comes from the younger generations. Like I think people that are younger than us just don't give a fuck. They really don't. They're, if you see this, oh well, it's my real thoughts. It's like I think about my sister, and I'm like, sometimes she posts some shit out of pocket, right? And I'm like, you know, mom can see this, and she's probably thinking to herself, like, I don't care. I hope mom sees this. Like,
oh yeah, it's videos about like her mom or like parent trauma videos and shit. And I'm like, you know, your mom's on TikTok, right? Like, that'd be like me posting that, and then my mom being like, Allie, what is this? Okay, like fun story, since she's probably listening to this. And my mom saw this TikTok that Brie made about getting me a boo basket, and then literally texted me, did you make Brie a boo basket? All because I didn't post about it. And yes, I made her one first, for the record. I was first.
Let the record show.
Let the record show. And then today I was like, should I post this video about my mom getting us a boo box? Like,
did you? Did you post it?
I edited it. I didn't post it. But like stuff like that I was like, we should record this to like have a virtual diary and just be like, this is cute that my mom used to do this. What were you laughing?
No, I mean, it's just, I don't know. We totally like veered off topic in some ways. Sorry. But no, I mean, all of the conversation's good, so it doesn't matter. So anyways, my point being, like, from the whole conversation that we've had so far, do you think, because like I think about like people who like don't have social media in general, right?
I don't get that.
Do you think having social media and posting the way that we post, the way that most people post, is vain?
Yeah, I mean, but I think a lot of what we do in society is vain now. Like,
oof, be real right there.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Like, taking pictures of ourselves, you know, constantly feeling the need to validate where we're at on social media. Like, it's all vain to an extent.
You know which social media I think is the most vain?
No.
And people aren't gonna, they're gonna be like, that's not even social media.
Which one?
Take a while to guess.
Well, I thought you were going to say Instagram, but I don't think so because you said it's not social media.
LinkedIn. Yeah, I said it.
It's a social platform, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that one is the most vain because it's like, it's still in a well, I say this with knowing that people are moving, right, especially right now with the job situation, like people are talking a little bit more about their struggles, which is different because LinkedIn was never used like that before.
It used to be like, I got this
I got Ocean. I just started a new job.
project.
I just finished an internship. Look at me. I just started grad school. I just finished, you know, like it was literally accomplishment. And then that was like one of the things we talked about in season 1, right? It was hopping on LinkedIn and feeling like absolute shit when you weren't accomplishing enough.
But I think you can see that in whatever social media you use, whether it's like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, even Snapchat. Like, you can hop on any social platform and start comparing yourself to other people on there and feel like, shit, I'm so behind in life. This person just got engaged. This person just got married. This person just had a baby. I'm 27 and I'm not doing anything. Like, you know, this person just got a promotion. It doesn't have to be LinkedIn.
It's about the people you follow though too.
But that's why they say like you should, I mean, there's all these talks about like putting limitations on your social usage and like your screen time and different things like that.
I definitely don't use socials the way I used to. Like, I no longer have like my, what is it called? My notifications on for Instagram.
Yeah.
So I truthfully, I said this about to sound vain. I truthfully just like hop on photo dump a whole bunch of photos and then hop off and then check it while I get likes. And then I'm like, cool. And then sometimes I'll scroll through, mostly I scroll through stories now of like my favorite people. They're usually like at the very top.
Yes.
So I'm able to like catch up with the stories more so than like people's actual posts.
Yes. I think for me,
even that piece is more community driven.
Yeah.
This idea of like stories and posting about what you're currently doing, what you're doing right now, what's happening in your life in this current moment. Like, people are using that more than they are a static post.
Yeah, well, that's why Instagram implemented it, because they were like, we're losing users and like we're old now and like we're basically Facebook and yeah, I think I've just tried to learn. Well, I've realized about myself that like when I'm feeling down or when I'm bored, my go-to is like mindlessly scrolling on TikTok. I spend like all the time on TikTok.
You're toxic on it.
And it's toxic, and it's just sometimes I like catch myself and I'm like, why am I on TikTok so long? I could have been doing all this other stuff. So what I do now is podcast, or like I put on a YouTube video, or I put on a TV show or an audiobook, and I like start doing other stuff, depending on what I'm doing. Not spend all of your time online, but if you are spending your time online, what is a healthy way to do that? Instead of spending 3 hours scrolling on TikTok, like set yourself a limit and be like, okay, I'm going to take 10 minutes scrolling TikTok, and then I'm going to cut myself off because this is too much, you know? And I feel like I sometimes use it in an unhealthy way, but I have to catch myself and be like, okay, I need to cut this.
So it's interesting you say that, because I feel like for me, social media has become more of an outlet for me. Like when I am feeling sad, I'm like, hey, let me go pull some photos together to remind myself that everything's good. And also like when I do TikToks now, when I'm feeling not so much down, but like, I guess bored, or like, I don't know, like in a hole. Like ADHD is hard because I'm like, I feel sad, but it's not really sadness. It's really just like, I'm just having a low, you know? I find myself like wanting to do more TikToks. I find myself wanting to like interact more and like post more, because I'm like, this is fun. Like this should be fun. People shouldn't see it as performative. That's another thing that I was going to ask you, because you were such a person that like never really did videos or posted about yourself. Do you find yourself feeling like you're performing more now? Like, is it performative for you when you're doing videos on TikTok?
I think at the beginning it was. Like, if you go back and probably watch some of my really old videos, a lot of it was. And I was like, okay, that wasn't me. But now I don't give a shit. Like
now it's just you. Now you're just having a good time. Now it's just
me. And even if I do a trend where I'm like talking to the camera, or like, you know, it's a sound and you're like, you mouthing it, like that is performative, but to me that's fun performative. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm putting on like
it's a visual art. It's and that's the way I see it. Oh, it's almost like a creative outlet.
It's like, I didn't get to be an actress, now I can be an actress on TikTok,
right? Because I think about it before, and I think about socials before, like Facebook and Instagram, and it really was one of those like more, let me show off, or let me show you that I'm good, versus like on TikTok, I don't feel like that about it anymore. I feel like it's more just an outlet for me.
Yeah, and I think so too. Like, I've gotten really into junk journaling, and there's a huge junk journaling community on TikTok. And so a lot of the people that I follow or the videos that I'm watching now is about junk journaling. So I started sharing my spreads. I don't know where I was going with this.
Just in general, like,
Yeah.
I get that makes sense, because it's like what I was saying before. I feel like Instagram and Facebook to some extent has lost its community, only because here's the other thing, right? That's very different on TikTok, is that you're also talking about people that interact with your stuff that aren't necessarily like people you see every day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, a lot of the people that like my stuff are people that I know, but I occasionally get people interacting with my content that
but that's why I was going to say that I feel like I don't care on TikTok anymore. Sometimes I feel more performative on things like Instagram or Facebook. We take it all the way back to like last episode
when we check yourself.
You're right. We take it all the way back to last episode when we were talking about like posting about our engagement and being like, all of my family is going to see this and then they're all going to talk. On TikTok, I don't care, because I'm like, nobody is really going to see this. Space. It's like it's like Bree's Twitter and from college. I think people see it now, and like more people see it now, obviously, because if you have your phone number, it'll like pop up as like people you may know.
I hate when I see my former students on my page. They occasionally pop up on my For You page, and I'm like watching this, and and then it's like people you may know, and then I'm like, oh no, and then I'm like swipe.
But I feel like for the most part, when I post, it's like I post it and I send it out into the abyss and like hope that somebody relates to it or finds it funny or whatever the purpose of the video is. And then
your audience is
also
just different.
The type of content that I take in. Like, I don't know anybody in my life that makes TikTok videos where I'm like actively watching, or even thinking back to this time last year. I think I mentioned that I went to like this dance competition with the team that I was a part of or whatever. Like, at one point we were all making TikToks. We're all dancers.
Oh, those are really good, actually.
Right. And so they were like, oh yeah, follow me on TikTok. And I was like, I don't want them to follow me on TikTok, because this is like, it's supposed to be for people who don't know me, not like people who know me in real life.
See,
like,
but I don't
care anymore. But like back then I was like, no.
I always feel really weird about people following me on like Instagram and Facebook, and I think a big part of that too is because it's like there's a lot of historical context on my socials. There's so much on my Instagram. I've been posting for years at this point. So like, you go far. If you really wanted to do a deep dive, fuck. You know, like
when this video is playing, I should like post little pictures. I love that. Okay, girls next level, Bridget and Holly, they do that. Like, if they're referencing a certain thing, they'll like post the picture on the screen, and I find it funny because it's like,
it's super cringe, some of the stuff I used to post. Like, my frontal lobes were fully not developed. I can only blame it on that.
No, and I think that part of the reason why we kept getting all of these like internet talks is because we were so young. Like, we were using this stuff in middle school. I remember getting my Facebook and then really, really using Instagram in high school and thinking like, I'm the shit. Like, I'm posting all these pictures.
Yeah. No,
and
I posted a lot.
It was just like, okay, you did post a lot. Most of mine was like prom, homecoming,
I posted about pretty much, like, I would literally take pictures while I was in class in high school and like post those later. It was like for anything and everything. Now I feel like if you go back, I've archived enough, at least on Instagram, that it's reasonable.
College, I posted a lot too. I was like, ew, who was she?
See, but every tailgate changed for me. Like, when I got into college, a lot of the posts I was making was more like historical for me. Like, I wanted to I wanted to document, what is the word, like documentarize, whatever, like my experience in college. It was less about like just pictures of myself looking good. It was more about like, I went to my first college Halloween party.
Yeah.
I went to my first A&M football game this weekend. I trying to think of something else.
And I thought about that the other day too, because TikTok wasn't around when we were in college, and it makes me
sad,
grateful, because I probably would have flunked all my classes, but like, because I would have spent so much time on it. But like, sad because I don't have the documentation. Like, I have these videos from football games of like the towel.
Snapchat is like I had a lot of videos on it, but not even enough.
But it was different. It was a different type of content.
Like it's just 5-second video of something,
and it's so stupid. And so I was like thinking about it the other day, and I'm kind of sad that TikTok wasn't around, because I feel like the content would have been so funny to look back on and be like, remember that one time? Like, remember this video? And I find myself doing that now because I have, videos from years ago on TikTok that I'm like, oh, that was funny. Or like, when we went on this trip, that was so fun. I think I started thinking about social media differently when we graduated, because creating TikToks and like different things for social became fun. The other day I was watching, I was talking about this TikTok that we made when we went to New York, where we did this transition, but it was a dance. So crazy.
We got like 1 like.
5 likes. The sound got removed.
Oh my gosh, that is the most annoying thing on TikTok. It's
Years
like,
later.
don't remove my sounds because I don't remember what the hell was on it.
No,
My video doesn't make sense without it.
No, and we were up in the Dallas airport at like 5 a.m. trying to catch this flight while also doing this TikTok, and we did so many takes. And I remember everybody in the airport it's like shut
Core
up.
memory though, like
It
it was
was
so
great.
much funny.
But my point is,
So much funny.
And we filmed the second part of the transition in Times Square, so we had to get this random guy to take a video of us.
My God. And then we like did the whole dance and we did it perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Only for us to like stop, right? And then we're like, oh, thank you. And I was like, thanks. And then he's like, I forgot to hit record. And I was like, what the?
He didn't want to stop his.
He didn't want to stop his mid performance, so we had to do it again.
Yeah.
In Times Square in front of all these people.
And stuff like that is fun. So I feel like the process for me now is there. Like even Max, he's all up on me. He's like, I want to be in the video. He wants to be a social media king.
He is a social media king.
So the process for me is there now. Even when we went to Salem, we did all these cute like witchy TikToks and things like that. To me, those are memories that I have that make it part of the trip. And I'm like, oh, I remember doing that. Mm-hmm. Whereas before, it was like, let's take a picture for Instagram and it has to be perfect. And, you know, I didn't like the way I look, whatever.
I'm still trying to grow out of that, at least on Instagram, because I think a lot of the images that go on my Instagram, you won't catch me looking bummy or anything. Because, like, I just, like, I'm not posting that.
I started doing dumps, like, not monthly dumps, but every month that I feel like I have a good amount of pictures, I'll like dump it. But a lot of it goes back to what we said. It's like documentation. It's not pictures of me anymore. It's pictures of where I was.
What you've done over the month. I'm really bad about that. That's something I'm going to try and do better, is like just taking pictures of things rather than myself. I'm going to try and be less vain. You're so vain. I don't know what comes after that in that song. I know what song you're talking, or like, think this song is about you. Isn't that like a Drake song? Or he references it somewhere? He does.
I think he raps it, but that is not his song.
No, I know it's not his song, but he like references that.
Anyways, going back to what we were talking about.
Let me think. So we talked a lot about social media. We talked a lot about just like pictures and living in the moment. So we want to kind of tie it up and talk a little bit about like
how to truly be present.
How to truly be present and how to ensure that social media isn't taking up your like who you are as a person, and that it doesn't accurately represent us.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've seen a lot of TikTok videos on this as well, that like social media is just a snapshot of
who you are.
Different things. So whether you choose to share the happy or you choose to share the sad, like Brie was saying, it's only a snapshot of your life. You can't see your entire life from social media. I mean, we think even about like reality shows and stuff like that. You're not seeing the entire picture. You're just seeing what they choose to put out there. So at the end of the day, don't get so over involved in your social media that you feel like you have to be perfect or you feel like you have to put on a performance or a show, but use it for fun. And for me, when we talk about being present, I don't give a shit when I take my videos and my pictures. Like I'll snap, record, like really, really quickly. And then I put my phone away because I'm like, I just want to live in the moment. And I've gotten really good at that.
Being with you has made me better at that. Like you think a lot of the time when I'm with you, I'm just having such a great time that I like don't think like, let me take a picture. But then sometimes I get mad at myself because then I'm like, damn it, like I have no pictures of us.
But then anywhere. I have to remind you, like it's not about the pictures, it's about the experience and the moment.
Like, what if I get Alzheimer's? And then I'm gonna be like,
hilarious. I mean, it's my thing. Like that's how I deal with it. Like I do it at the beginning, and if we're in a group or we go on a group trip, everybody wants to take a picture, right? Or we'll do a quick video, or we'll do a TikTok or whatever. But once I'm done, I don't continue to have my phone out. I don't think, let me record this entire day or let me have my phone attached. Sometimes even too, if you're out and about and you're using your phone for other things, it dies. If it dies, it dies. Like
my phone is dead like 90% of the time anyway. So
it is dead 90% of the time. So
yeah, I'm surprised it has
also
battery right
because like normally I think about trips. When we go on trips, Bree's the one that GPS, she's the navigator.
I am the navigator, so
it drains her battery.
Phone, but which also helps a little bit to stay in the moment though. Like and I'm like, I'm out of juice. I get frustrated sometimes when people are all on their phones and my phone is dead, but it just helps in general stay within.
Going back to you being like, what if I get Alzheimer's? I feel like the core memories that I have, we don't have videos from them. Like I think the Chicago trip where we got lost in the rain and you literally tumbled down the steps.
We have pictures of us in front of the steps.
Point is, we were trying to find the Shameless house in Chicago. We got lost. It took us an entire day.
Ingrained in your brain.
It's ingrained. That day is ingrained in my brain. I will never forget it. It will never go away. Like, it is in my brain. And I think things like that you truly are living in the moment, you don't feel the need to get out your phone and like record it. And if you do, don't make it the entire time. Like, you don't have to record every single moment of your life. I always think short form content, because that's what we live in, right? Like, I think TikTok, it's a 1 minute video. If I get a 1 minute video, I'm done. I'm turning my phone off. If I get 3 pictures, I'm done. I'm turning my phone off. Like, well, not off, because I never turn my phone off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm putting it away in my pocket. Yeah. So yeah. And like Hawaii, I found myself getting frustrated because I kept trying to take pictures of like all these beautiful things, and I feel like I would look back at the picture and be like, oh my god, this doesn't look good. And instead of sitting there obsessing over it and like trying to zoom in or get a different angle, I just put my phone in my pocket. I was like, I don't care. Yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy it.
So in general, we want to just remind everybody, stop going online for attention. No, I'm just kidding.
But go online to listen to our podcast.
Yeah, go online to listen to the podcast, but also just focus on the moment. Be careful. There's been so many stories now on TikTok where people are like literally filming and accidentally hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to be one of those people. You want to live in the moment. You want to enjoy your experience. And another thing that we recently heard too is like, don't focus on the likes. Like 12 people liking it, 2 people liking it. Can you just imagine those people actually in real life
in a room with you?
Yeah, in a room with you. Like, don't get obsessed with the amount of people that like it.
Yeah.
If you do it, nobody likes it, or 1 or 2 people likes it, like that should be enough.
That we used to think, like, we've conditioned ourselves as a society to think 100 likes is not a good milestone or mile marker or like an accomplishment, but reality is, picture 100 people in a room with you, and that's so many people.
Yeah.
So always think of it like that. Like, if I get 2 likes, I'm like, what? I got 2 likes.
No, on Instagram sometimes I get less likes on photos, and I'm like, what I do wrong? Like, I'll get 30 likes versus 60, or like on our engagement photos, like I got like over 80 something likes.
That was crazy.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, then I think about it and I'm like, that's crazy, because I don't even know that many people.
Yes.
Like, I don't see that many people in person. Like
when you actually break it down and you're like, these are people that I talk to, you're like, I don't even see these people.
Did you even know that many people?
Yeah, that's crazy.
But anyways, yeah, just have fun. If you're using TikTok, if you're using Instagram, be creative. Let it be a creative outlet. Enjoy it in the way that it's meant to. Use it as a safe space, as we've talked about. And actually, think about the consequences of your actions. No, I'm just kidding. When you're posting online. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But maybe I'm not just kidding for those younger groups, because, everything lives online.
Don't let it consume you. Like, when you feel that you're spending your entire day on TikTok, don't let it consume you. Take a break. If it's getting toxic, put your phone away. Learn how to find joy in other things in life. And like Bree said, I feel like make it a creative outlet.
Enjoy your time.
Yeah.
Creative outlet.
Make it an outlet for yourself, and whatever that means, whether it's community, whether it's creativity, whether it's just doing something you've never done before. Make it an outlet, but don't make it something that you feel like you have to do, or that becomes a sense of anxiety or like worry in your life, because that's when it gets to a point where it's toxic.
And lastly, if you didn't get a pic and you didn't get a video, don't worry, it still happened.
That's cute, but that's not lastly. I was going to say some announcements.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you follow our podcast on Instagram, we posted about needing sponsors so we can continue creating this form of content and posting. So if you're a small business owner, or a small business owner, or a large business owner, we don't care, reach out to us. Our information is in the show notes. And you can also subscribe if you are not a business owner and you want to donate some money to help us fund the production of the podcast. You can subscribe. The link will be in the show notes, and you can pay as little as $3 a month. So it's really not that much. I know this economy is not great, but if you got $3 a month, please give it to us. If you love our content, that's one way you can support.
Subscribe. So if you can only make a one-time donation, subscribe, and then cancel it afterwards. Whatever you do. But none of that comes to us. Obviously, we're not looking to get paid, but this can get pretty pricey, especially with the platforms that you have to use to edit, produce, and post.
Right. So if you can, we would really appreciate you guys supporting it so that we can keep creating episodes like this and many more to come.
Yeah. Catch you on the next one. And remember,
you're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Bye, guys.